Welcome to Brevard News, your source for real news in Brevard County. My name is Kevin Jeffrey. I'm your moderator, and I'm joined today by you-know-who, Katie Delaney, who is the candidate for County Commission District 1, and also a friend who's been on the show before, Tom Erdman, who is the leader of Save Sherwood. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Lot to talk about, Tom. You have a meet and greet coming up, and so you've done a great job with this. It's a good example of how citizens get involved and they see what's going on, and you've really just leaned into it. And so now you're having a meet and greet, and it's going to be the 11th of May. Tell us about what you're trying to do there.
I think the meet and greet is not just about Save Sherwood. We have a number of different groups that are all combining efforts together. You know, they go across Republicans, Democrats, whatever ideology we have, but we are all united for two things. Number one, the out of control growth. We understand there's growth is going to happen, but we don't want out of control growth. We want smart growth. And number two is let's do what makes sense. What do we want to leave our future kids, our grandkids? Do we want to be East Orlando, or do we want to be able to enjoy the same things that we've enjoyed for umpteen years, nature and the environment and the river? You know, this river, let's not get it all polluted, where people are afraid to swim in it even now because we have so much growth that the infrastructure of not just Titusville, but all of Brevard can't handle it. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from the MIMS Water Department saying I got to conserve water, that they're at max capacity. We're going to have low water pressure. And so then I look at it and said, okay, if I have low water pressure now and max capacity, what happens when I added all these homes in MIMS and in Sherwood, and now my home catches fire? That fireman comes to my house, he's not going to have the water pressure to put out the fire, putting my life at danger and his life at danger.
Right.
And the problem is that no one is against growth. I mean, but there's not any growth. The conversations are taking place in which the citizens have not been involved, and the citizens' concerns are not really being heard, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a big concern. Is, you know, developers come in, they have a dog and pony show, show us some artist renderings of what they're going to do. Doesn't mean they're going to do that.
Right.
Right.
It's just an artist drawing.
Right.
So May 11th, back to that, is
So you have also with this, so you have Save Sherwood, you have Apollo Gardens, Save Rural Oak, you have Right to Clean Water, you have West Cocoa MIMS, Brevard Cares Citizens Coalition, and also alcohol-free event. It's an alcohol-free event. Probably is a good thing, right?
Yeah. I don't want to mix alcohol in there and get things out of control. We'll have some food trucks there too.
Good.
So it's hopefully a family event that, you know, oftentimes you go to an election, you see the names, but you really have never talked to that candidate or whatever. So this is an opportunity, both from a citizen and also a candidate's perspective, to get out there and talk to the people. That's what I'm hoping this be a good event, and we'll do this for years to come.
Who do you have commitments from so far?
So county commissioners, I have 5 out of the 6
that are running for office.
District 1. City council for Titusville, I think 5 or 6 of them have committed. And the mayor that's running for Titusville is committed. The tax collector, Lisa Cullen, is committed. And supervisor of elections, I'm still working on them, and then still trying to talk to the COCO folks.
Okay, so now this is going to be at the Harry T. Moore Memorial Center, and it's going to be in MIMS at 2180 Freedom Avenue in MIMS, and it's going to be Saturday, May the 11th, from 11 to 2 p.m., 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yes, and so we have candidates come there at 10:30. You know, there's a pavilion, so we'll have tables under the pavilion that you could set up. You know, the goal is, you know, we kick it off and then have each candidate spend 3 minutes kind of saying who they are and go through all the candidates, and then just set up at your table and do a meet and greet with the citizens of Brevard County.
So there's an opportunity for the citizens to come and personally ask questions of their candidates or elected officials and try to find out directly from them. Any question that they have? Is there any question off
I'm hoping that citizens come and shake hands and pat each other on the back and just have a relaxed time and learn. You
Now,
know,
tell me, how important is this? This is a bipartisan event, right? So you have not only some liberal groups, so-called, but conservative groups as well. How important is that to an event like this?
I think it's huge. We got to show the politicians that they work for us, not the other way around. That
Exactly.
we are united, and as a united front, we have power. You're
Right.
not going to just blow through us anymore. It's enough.
Katie,
Right.
how did this happen? I mean, we've talked about this, and we're going to talk about Titusville here in a minute. But the message is that the politicians, and as I've been out over the last couple of weeks, the politicians seem to me that they've lost sight of the fact that they are not the government.
Right.
They have taken some authority that really doesn't belong to them. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. I mean, you have these people who have, a lot of them are career politicians and they get very comfy in their seats of power and they forget who they are working for. And they let staff control them. And we didn't elect those people. And so it's very disheartening watching these people who we elected to work for us serve somebody that's not us.
And it seems like that they are actually they've become there's more hubris involved.
Right.
I mean, I'm just shocked that we were at the county commission a couple of weeks ago and some of the behavior of some of the county commissioners, the
Right.
hubris involved, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is this what you saw? You started by with Save
They
Sherwood,
sure would.
right? And
They
what
wouldn't even
happened?
return my phone calls.
Right. So you have a county commissioner to this day who refuses to return your phone call.
Did not return my phone calls. I had a neighbor actually got hold of her and said, "Oh yeah, Tom has called me a number of times. Not that she's going to call me
Right.
back.
Right.
Just yeah, he's called me. I acknowledge that, and blow me off. It's a little offensive."
So what did you think when I mean, what were you thinking before you got involved with Save Sherwood, and what are you thinking now as you've been involved in the process?
So my learning process, I worked at the Cape, kept, had a family, went to work in the morning, came home, did soccer, do all that, and I enjoyed my life. But when Sherwood went under and they started doing this, it forced me to open my eyes. And that's what I think the rest of the community really needs to do is that how do bad things happen is when good people do nothing. So
Right.
it's time for good people to stand up and fight for what we want.
So what is there? Is there any single thing that jumped out at you in this process that shocked you that you didn't know was going on?
I think the corruption across the board. I mean,
Right.
it's all across the board.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
The
It's
amount
really
of corruption.
astonishing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's astonishing when you look at the people and what they're doing, and it's almost like they're doing it in the open anymore, right?
They don't
Right.
care.
They don't
Yeah.
even care and a lot of it is because they don't care because the people have been asleep, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Just at the city council meeting, the Titusville City Council meeting this week, the staff member said into the open air that they're going by the UN sustainability plan.
I was shocked when she said that. Honestly, I was shocked. So
And this is in
you say this,
Titusville,
she
everyone.
says this wide open, like it's no big deal, but I don't think
Right.
that people have the context
Yeah.
to understand what is happening here. So if you don't understand it, you have the World Economic Forum who is running the UN, and they have a sustainability plan, and that sustainability plan for the UN is being worked into the cities around our country. And if you look it up, that sustainability plan is not going to go well for you. As they implement it, it's not going to go well. It's meant to enslave all of your citizens across every country that they're implementing this in. And don't take my word for it, look it up.
And there's this program in the city of Titusville that they're pushing now. It's called Titusville Tomorrow. And basically what it's going to do to West Titusville is they're trying to turn it into look like a New York City street.
Correct.
They want to have a 2-lane road with on-street parking and then a sidewalk on either side and then straight up, apartments or houses that are with no yard, no nothing. And so if you're in North Brevard and you don't want your city to look like New York City, it's time to get involved, everybody.
Well, it's time to wake up. And so
Right.
you can say, hey, yo, that's just them. I'm going to do what I want to do. If you do not wake up, by the time you do wake up, you're going to be under siege. And I don't think that that's hyperbole. So we were at Titusville last week, and it's
Right.
really interesting. We had the Titusville Shenanigans Rally, And it was really interesting to see. We had about 25 to 30 people that were waving signs and whatnot. The reception from the people were just, it
It
was
was
amazing.
incredible.
I think that the people do see what's going on.
Yeah.
Is that what you saw?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was waving, honking their horns, giving thumbs up as they were going by, and we just had signs that said, we don't feel heard, or uh,
The lagoons,
the lagoon, we want clean water,
right.
or how about city manager accountability? We want this stuff in our government. We want our government to listen to us, and that's why I'm running, because it's we have to bring the power back to the people.
And it's a matter of just, this is not complicated. It's a matter
Right.
of the people deciding that they want the power back,
Right.
right? And so it's not, they can't hold power from the people if the people decide they're done with it, right?
Exactly.
And that's the issue. Now, that brings us to this issue that you have a little public records request that was made by Kristen Lorty. I'll give her a shout out on that, who was with Brevard Carries, and she found out some interesting information that the city of Titusville is not revealing. And they're giving great information about the city manager and the kind of reviews that he's getting from the city council, but they
Right.
neglected to tell the people this.
The whole truth.
What is it? Tell us the information that they had at their disposal
Right.
that they didn't reveal about what the people of Titusville actually think about them.
Right. So this is the citizen survey, and this survey has everything to do with treating residents with respect, 41%. That's an F.
Yeah.
Treating residents
Well, maybe they're
fairly.
saying that you're grading on the curve.
Maybe that's Common Core math or something.
right.
Treating residents fairly, 35%. The overall direction that Titusville is taking, 34%.
No one is agreeing with this, and they're maintaining this course. Continue.
The value of services for the taxes paid to Titusville, 32%. Being honest, 31%. Generally acting in the best interest of the community, 28%. Overall confidence in the Titusville government, 26%. Being open and transparent to the public, 24%.
So these are Joe Biden numbers, right?
Right.
Joe Biden.
CEO of a
Right.
company like that, you would be fired.
You would be fired, and it wouldn't be tolerated. I know that I worked at FedEx, and it was about people, service, profit, right? That you treat your people well, that you will, and they give good service, you will make profit. But anywhere but city government, government doesn't have to do that. They can
Right.
have bad numbers; it doesn't really matter. They just continue to
Exactly.
double down on what they're doing. Is that what you see? I mean, as we went in to the city and we talked. It didn't appear, well, several things jumped out at you. One is that the staff, and I saw this last week, a couple of weeks ago with the county commission, staff is running the city, staff is running the county. Your politicians are listening to staff over you.
Right.
Fact. That's a fact. They're listening to the staff over you. They don't really care about what you say, but they care about what the staff says. Now, the staff is a bunch of unelected bureaucrats,
Right.
right? Nobody elected them to anything.
And we're talking about the staff, meaning the leadership.
The leadership.
The city manager, the county manager, the county attorney, the city attorney,
Right.
the people in the high offices that are making the six figures.
Saw another stat. Was it about 28 people in the staff for Titusville is making over $100,000?
Right.
28 people. Now, just to show you where this is a problem, you have citizens groups that are very capable of doing what the staff is doing, right? Like,
Right.
for example, on the Environmental Commission,
Right.
you have some very capable people
Oh, yeah.
of doing what the staff is doing.
Highly educated
Why are
people.
we duplicating this? What's going on here?
Right.
You have unelected people who are running, basically, and we talked about it with the city council, they're just rubber stamping everything that the staff says, right?
Exactly.
How do we stop this?
Well, we have to get good people elected into office. We have to get people who are not willing to bend to the will of the staff, and we have to, one thing for me, if I'm elected, I want to have monthly meetings with my constituents. I want to know what people need and what they want for their community, because that's my whole role, is to serve the public. And so we need to
What a
elect
novel idea.
we need to elect people who that's their goal and that's their passion, is to make sure that people are cared for. And it needs to be on all levels of government, but the local level is so important. They affect so much of our everyday lives. And a lot of people focus solely on the national level, where we don't really have a whole lot of control over that.
You're
But our
being
local
affected more by the
elections,
local level, right?
right,
And you can
right,
actually, on a local level, you actually have control over the people that
exactly.
represent you.
These
You
are
can,
neighbors.
right.
That's the thing that I always say. How can these people, there are neighbors and they're doing this to us,
Well, it's almost like that there's a contempt that they have for the people. I've
right?
not seen anything like it. And so it would be like, and I asked the county commissioners a couple of weeks ago, would you go to and frequent a location where the people looked at you with contempt?
Right.
You wouldn't go to a grocery store where they treated you that way, right?
Exactly.
You wouldn't go to a hospital where they treated you that way,
Right.
but they're treating the people this way.
But it seems like this election could be huge.
For
We
sure.
have the capability. Katie wins. Megan for city council wins. Vicky for the mayor wins.
Right.
That could change all in Brevard,
Exactly.
I think.
Well, and you do hear there are winds of change blowing in the air in which the people seem to be waking up
Oh yeah.
and they're seeing, hey, what's going on here? It's like Rip Van Winkle. It's like the people have been asleep and they're
Exactly.
waking up to find out what is going on here, right?
Oh yeah. The biggest thing I think people need to understand is that the primary is where a lot of these elections are going to be determined. And so please, if you are not normally a primary voter, please get out and vote this election in the primary. The early voting is August 10th through the 17th, and then election day is August 20th. And that voting time is the most important for our local elections
So
this
speaking
year.
of someone who's what would
Right.
you say to someone who told you that?
So it's funny, Tim Bobanek, our supervisor of elections, he likes to give these two stories of how two elections that he's been a part of, they actually were tied and had to be determined by a coin flip. And that, I mean, that's your one vote that makes the difference.
And
So,
if you get the wrong politician in there, boy,
right,
Katie bar the door. I mean, one of the things it seems that you really need in a politician is one that you can trust, and you can see that with their conviction, right?
for sure.
And many of these politicians, they have no conviction outside of themselves,
Right.
and then they don't. They're really scared to speak up on things, right? I
Mhm.
mean, did you find that in your involvement?
Oh, well, they
Yep.
don't speak. They just ignore you.
It's the darndest thing for the people that you are supposed to be your boss.
Right.
Again, this government is of, by, and for the people. It's different from any other government in this world where the people are the government. The people who are in office actually are just representing you,
Right.
right? How did we lose sight of that?
Yeah, I think people just got busy. They raised their families. They're working. Our economy is horrible right now, so people have to do what they have to do to survive. But honestly, for me, that's more of the reason why I'm getting involved, because we have to change what we're doing because it's not working.
Now, there's an opportunity for you to get involved. There's another rally coming up, Speak Out Titusville rally. It's going to be Tuesday, April 30th from 4 to 4:45, and it's going to be outside of City Hall. And let me look at these talking points here. The city of Titusville is setting annual city priorities without adequate citizen input. In other words, they're deciding what's going to happen. They don't care what you have to say. Really, I mean, they haven't advertised that,
No.
right? Haven't told you that they're making decisions about
Right.
this.
And the meeting won't be filmed, so you won't be able to see it on
And
the
they're making
internet.
votes. They're taking votes on important issues, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so now the city members are not holding city manager accountable for addressing citizen concerns. And so you have Larice, who's making over $220,000, which is an
Right.
extreme amount. That's a good job if you can get it, man, in a city like Titusville. And the city council, which is supposed to be his boss,
Right.
are not holding him accountable at all. They just kind of rubber stamp whatever he comes. Well, we can't argue with that. Staff knows. Staff knows. Uh, it's just it's unconscionable. No two-way engagement with city leadership, a lack of accountability for ongoing sewage issues. And the right to clean water is on its third city appeal. Now, think about this. The city of Titusville is suing its own citizens. You heard that right. The city of Titusville is suing its own citizens because it didn't like the outcome, A, of a vote, and then of an appeal. And so this is unconscionable.
It's 83%, I think.
It was 83% of the people in the city of Titusville approved this.
Right.
And so this shows you the hubris of the people who are on the city council. They don't think that what you voted for really matters to them.
Right. Both of my opponents, they were engaged in this suing of the
Dan
people.
Diesel,
Right.
Robert Jordan,
Right.
were both involved in this. And so they don't believe, and it really just indicates and it shows you what they think about people.
Right.
I mean, and again, it's astounding to me because I worked for a company where it was always about the customer was right,
Exactly.
the people that you were serving, and it was about service. And the thing that strikes me is that it used to be that you would call the people that were in office public servants. Have you heard them call themselves that recently?
Yeah.
They don't really call it. They don't really believe they're servants. They
Right.
believe they're rock stars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's upsetting. I've been here since 1991. The river wasn't that great then. Then it got clean. I've done the fishing, a lot of time fishing. And now it's just, there's no fish out there. It's smelly. It's dirty. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat a fish out of Titusville.
Oh, I see a lot of shrimping going on out there, and I'm thinking, well, shrimps are bottom feeders anyway, but I wouldn't eat a fish out of that river, man.
Yeah.
I would not eat a fish out of that river.
So let's not keep building houses. Let's work on the infrastructure. So when your kids, your grandkids,
Exactly.
when they can enjoy this area.
Right.
You have an opportunity to chime in on this again, and it's this coming Tuesday from 4 to 4:45. And hopefully, as you get involved, it will make a huge difference. I want to end on this quote, and it's from Theodore Roosevelt. And again, it's just reminding people of who the government is. And Theodore Roosevelt said this: the government is us. We are the government, you and I. And that's true. And the people have lost sight of it. You are the government. The government is not some entity that is invisible. It's you. And the people that are in office are just representing you and me. And when they're not doing what they need to do, it's time to tell them to go do something else. Thank you for joining us this week on Brevard News. You have a wonderful week, and remember to like, share, and subscribe our podcast. We want to really get the news out about what's going on in Brevard County. You have a wonderful week.